Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Make It Monday with the South Dakota Agricultural Heritage Museum. My name is Sarah and I'm the Education Coordinator at the museum. And today we are going to make a painted hyacinth project. I love watching all of the flowers bloom outside over the course of the spring and summer here in South Dakota, but my allergies are horrible. And so if you know anybody like me who loves flowers and seeing them bloom outside, but might have problems bringing them inside and cut flowers to enjoy those blooms indoors, this is a great project for you. This is something that you might have a lot of these materials already at home, and if you don't, it won't cost a ton of money for you to go out and grab them. And so this is a really cost-effective way to have flowers and have colorful things inside, or even to send to a loved one right now. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. I'll go over our supplies needed for today, and then we'll start with instructions. So the materials that you'll need today are some construction paper, and you'll need a sheet to be the background of your project. I'm using like a sky blue today, and so I've got a full sheet of that. And then I also have some green that will be used to make the stems and the leaves today. And I'm just using some scratch paper that I had left over from a different project. So it doesn't have to be a full sheet of paper for the green, but it does for your background color. And so you'll need those two colors of paper. You'll need a scissors, some glue, and since I'm using paper today, I'm using a glue stick because that works a little bit easier, but you can use any type of glue that you'd like as long as it works with paper. I have some paint, and today I'm using a purple paint. Hyacinths come in a lot of different colors, so you could use white, pink, purple, blue. Really, the possibilities are endless, but today I'm using purple because that's what I have at home. And then the next thing you'll need is some type of like a paint palette, or I'm actually just using a plastic small plate that I use for a lot of painting and craft projects here at my house. And so I'll use it and I'll put paint on it. After I'm done with this, I'll wash it off, and then I just keep reusing this time after time as a paint palette. And then the last thing you'll need is what we're actually using to paint today. And I'm using a bottle cap. It's from a 2-liter pop bottle, but you can also get it from a standard size pop bottle or a water bottle. Any of those options are fine as long as it is round, because that's what we'll be using as a stamp today. And so those are our supplies, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you'll need to do is use your green paper here and your scissors, and we'll be cutting some things out. And I've already pre-cut my things out, so I'll go ahead and show you what we're aiming for here. But I pre-cut out 3 stems, and so I just cut skinny strips of green paper here. I made 2 that are about the same height that'll go on each edge, so they're a little bit shorter. And then I made 1 that's a little bit longer so that that can go in the center, and then a tall one can be in the center. And it doesn't matter what height you want to cut yours to. This is just what I felt like doing mine to today, but 3 is a good number. So you have your 3 skinny strips of paper for the stems. And then the other thing you'll need is some leaf shapes. And so I cut out 6 different leaf shapes. If you want to go online and find some clip art or something to use as a stencil, that's totally fine. But I actually just freehanded these all myself with a scissors. They're pretty easy and simple to make, and I did them all. I didn't use a stencil or anything for them. I just cut out my 6 leaves here. And so I've got leaves and I've got my stems, and that is all you need for your green paper to cut out. And so you can go ahead and set that aside. The next thing you'll do is start gluing your stems to your background paper. And so I'm going to take my background sheet of paper and I'm going to put it landscape, which means this way. So it's got the long edge going across here. So I'm going to go ahead and lay that down. I'm going to take the lid off my glue stick here and get that ready to roll. And then I'm actually just using the rest of this scratch sheet of paper as something to glue on. These stems, when you glue them onto your paper, are really skinny, like I said, and so it might be hard to glue them with a glue stick without having like a scratch piece of paper behind them, so that if you get a little glue on the table, that's totally fine because you're actually getting it on your paper. So I'm going to lay this down and run my glue stick across the back. And this is my longer stem, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in the center here. And I've got my 2 shorter stems, and so I'm going to do the same thing with those. Make sure I have glue on the whole stem, and go ahead and set that down. I've got my last stem here. I'm going to do the same thing. So throw some glue on the back and get that on your project. So this is how I did mine. I kind of split it up almost into quarters here. And like I said, I put my tall one in the center and I put my 2 shorter ones on the sides. And so those are down and good to go. I'm gonna put the cap back on my glue stick for now. And set this piece of paper aside because we'll use that again. The next thing you'll do is use the paint that you're using for your flowers and go ahead and get some onto your painter's palette or your plastic plate or whatever you're using to hold your paint today. Okay, so I've got that done. And what I'm actually going to do next is take my lid to whatever plastic bottle or whatever you're using, and then you're going to dip it into the paint and then start putting flowers around the edges of your stems. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. You don't have to have a ton of paint on there, just enough to start making your stamps. Make sure you press all the way down onto your sheet of paper. And go ahead, and I've worked all my way up one side, so I'm going to start working my way up the next side. This is something that if you're working with younger kids with smaller hands, if you have the bottle that's attached to this lid, that would be something that you could just leave this right on the bottle, and then it makes it into a bit of a bigger stamp for little hands, and it works a little bit better for little kiddos. So I'll go ahead and show you what I have done so far. So I have my purple stamps up one side of my stem. I'm going to go ahead and work my way to my next one. And you don't need a ton of paint on your bottle here to get those circles done. Okay. So you guys are all getting the picture here. And so I'm going to go ahead and work my way up around the rest of my center flower and then around my other side over here. The last thing that you're going to do once you have all your stamping done is go ahead and let this dry for a little bit, and then use your glue stick again and your different leaves that you cut out. Go ahead and glue one side of the leaf, and then you'll put leaves on both sides of your flower. So just right here and right here. And I'll go ahead and finish the stamping and let it dry and add those glued leaves on in the end, and then I will post a picture of the finished project so that you can see exactly what I did with finishing the stamping and where I put the leaves. I cut out 6 leaves, so each flower will get 1 on each side. And then once you have those glued back on, you are done and ready to hang this on the fridge or send it to a loved one. So again, this is Sarah from the South Dakota Agricultural Heritage Museum for another episode of Make It Monday. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Otherwise, have a great rest of the week, and we hope to see you next time. Bye.